Please, thank you for the opportunity. Please, good evening.
Good evening.
This mine is a reminder. Actually, for you said you give us a certain certificate for applying for a certain position, but we've not had it yet, and I want to remind you.
Okay, very well, very well. I do remember. I do remember. Okay. And I make sure I do that.
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right, welcome. Any more questions? Doesn't mean we understand or have confused you about how to write a CV. Mary, I want to hear your voice.
Hello.
Hello.
Please, can you hear me?
Yes. Mention your name, please.
Please, I'm Stephanie.
Okay.
Please, my question is with the language side. Let's say you can speak the language, but you're not that perfect in it. Is it advisable to add it?
Yes, so it's advisable to add it, and then you indicate the level of fluency, and so you can say a beginner, intermediate, a novice. You get it? So that I know that yes, you've written French there, but you are a beginner. That means that even if I know how to speak French, I will not bombard you with deeper or difficult French stuff. You understand? So make it clear. To what extent do you speak the language?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I also have a question.
Please mention your name and go on.
Mary. Okay. Please, can you divide is it okay if you divide the workspace, like the page, you divide it into two, not with line, but the design, the layout, you split the web page into two, and then like you reduce the size, or what's the ideal font size for you to use?
Okay, so I mentioned that certain things should be conspicuous on your CV. So for the name, it should be between 20 to 22. And then also you can also use about 16 for the headings. I mean, if you are writing education, if you are writing work experience, those ones can be a little bigger than the other tests, and also they can also be in caps. Now, any other thing on your CV should be font size 12. Okay. Font size 12 is the standard formal font size that is used for how do I call it, for any formal document. And so if it shouldn't be bigger than 12, it shouldn't be less than 12. Even 11 sometimes tends to be smaller. So please use 12 throughout, with the exception of your name and sometimes the heading. Even the heading, you can still maintain the 12, but just that it can be in caps. And also about dividing let me try and get my CV back. You don't have to divide, sorry. You don't have to divide yes. So let me share my CV. Good. So you don't have to divide the Word document, right, in order to make it look nice. So if you look at, if you look at this portion, education and training, although you can see that this side is where I have the cursor, it's separate from this side. We do not use the divide in Word to do that. We only use the shift. That shift tool on the keyboard to move it from this side, so that at the end of the day it will look like you have divided it. If you look at the format or the layout of this document, it's as if I have divided the sheet into two, and then these things are at one end and some other things are at the other end, right? And so you use the shift functionality on the keyboard. Your screen is full, sorry. I want to open something, that is why it's like that. So I want to open a Word document. Good. Hey, how will I get my, okay, yes. So I'm trying to open Word document. And then, so you use those stuff, the sheet to move it. Very good. So I have Word documents now. Screen sharing has failed to start. The window we started is invalid. Okay. Good. Select a window. Oh, I'm trying to show you Word document, share the Word document for you. Good. Good. I hope we can all see the Word document page, right? Hello.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So you can use shift. When you press the shift button, you see that it keeps moving, right? You see the questions keeps moving. You can do back and forth. You get it? To space the things out. Now this tool here in Word, this thing here, it has something called bottom border. You see it as underline my thing, right? Hey, what did I open? Okay, sorry. So I didn't check the document I opened, but that's fine. So questions and answers is been underlined. You get it? This tool here is also very important. This tool is able to space the things out 1.15, 1.5, 2.0, and those stuff. Now, this tool is another important tool. We don't often use it. This thing that looks like music signs, so that if there's unwanted spaces in your document, you use these things to do them and to do the alignment. So learn how to use this music tool. And so please, you don't have to divide your Word document into two before you can do them. Just use the shift buttons and the other features in Word, and then you should be able
Okay,
to.
please don't close the page. Please go to the layout where the layout is.
You mean the Word document?
Yes, go to layout.
Okay. Sorry, let me hide
You
this
see
one.
where they've written columns?
Yes.
Yeah, is it okay if you split,
No,
like, you see when you go
no,
to columns, you split
no.
it into two?
Yes, it's not advisable. Because when you do that, the reason it's not advisable is that now if you do this, anytime you type and it gets to this particular end, it begins to shift to the bottom part. You get it? And then it makes please don't do this. Don't never use this to write CV. Don't use this tool at all. It will make it distorted, quite disorganized. Don't use it. Just use the shift functionality. This is often used in certain questions. so, sorry. Yeah, so please don't use this one. And then one thing I also can also show you here in Word is this heading, right? So for the headings, you can use this headings in Word. You can all see this. So when I click on this, you see it makes this one a little it brings some blue kind of thing to it, and it makes it a little big. It changes the size to 16, which is quite fine. And so you can use some of these headings as well, and then you edit your way around them. So please let's learn to use the other features, but do not use the layouts. It doesn't help in any way. All right, let me see. I think I've seen a number of questions here. This is from for Steve. Please, Doc, with regard to the reference, does it always have to be someone you have worked with? Can you use a lecturer or someone you know who works at a reputable institution or organization? Thank you. Okay, so the term referee is someone who can attest to your abilities or your qualities or the things you have on your CV, who can say nice things about you or things that will add to your application, right? And so it does not always have to be someone you've worked with, but ideally it should be like that. For instance, if you are going to apply for job or work, I mean a job, then it is ideal that you apply, you use someone you have worked with. because that person knows your work ethics. The person knows when you come to work. The person knows how committed you are at work and can speak very well for you. But if you are going to apply for school, like let's say postgraduate school, then in that sense, you can use a lecturer or someone in academia so that the lecturer can attest to your academic abilities. And so I often recommend that if you are going to apply for school or scholarships and those sort of things, please use people in academia like your lecturers. And then if you're applying for jobs, use people you have had internships with during your school or your training, the people you had internships with, you use them as your referees. But the underlying thing is that whoever you are using as a referee must know that you are using the person as a referee. And so the fact that the person is your lecturer does not mean that go on and cite the person as your referee. It should be a lecturer who knows you as an individual. To some extent, you have some works that you do with the person. For instance, if you are in final year, you'll be given a project supervisor. That person, because the project work requires you working closely with the person, with your supervisor, that person gets to know you beyond the classroom, gets to even know about your personal stuff. So my supervisor, she got to know a lot about me, to the extent that she maintained me as her TA when I was done with school. You get it? So such a person becomes a very good person to reference you. And so please understand that. So the baseline, use someone you've worked with in the industry for job applications. Use someone in academia like lecturers, head of departments for academic staff. But in all instances, make sure you inform them. I hope I've answered you, Faustina. Hello, Faustina, can you hear me? Okay, so yes, thank you. You're welcome. All right, so Abdullah, your hand is up. Please speak.
Okay, Doc, thank you very much. My second question is like, the CV, is it always sent by mail or it can be printed like it can be printed in a physical copy like physical? That's
Yes,
the question.
so previously when those things were not common, we were always printing them. And so CVs are often printed, or mostly they are printed and sent in as hard copies. But like I said, times are changing, right? And now the internet is being used often. And so people or many companies, most applications these days will ask you to submit your CV via email or another internet or online means. And so these days, the hard copy sending of CVs are becoming a bit archaic. Nevertheless, some companies require you to submit your CV in person, and in person means that you must print it as a hard copy. Abdullah, I hope that is clear.
Yes, Doc, thank you very much.
All right, then Mary says, Doc, pertaining to the research experience, is it okay to add the name of your research supervisor, even when he or she isn't part of your reference? Yeah, so I've seen a couple of people doing that. Yes, for me, if there is space, if you don't have a lot of things on your CV, I would say yes, you can add the name of your supervisor. Sometimes your supervisor may also be known. And so some people do that, and there's no problem doing that. You can add the name of your supervisor who supervised you, even when the person is not part of your referees. So please know that yes, you may. But if you have a lot of things on your CV, like I said, your CV shouldn't be too many, they shouldn't be too wordy. And so if you think you have a lot of things already, you can take away those sort of things. Another thing I have to add here is that on your CV, you should minimize mentioning people's names on your CV. Your CV is about you. And so if there is an opportunity, if it's not necessary, don't be putting other people's names on your CV. I've seen people who, for instance, they are mentoring people, and on their CV, you will see the names of their mentees. It's not important. Just say you have about 10, on my CV, you see I have about 10 mentees. It is okay. But some of you go on to be listing the names of your mentees. They are not important. It's just it's just trash. Don't mention other people's names on your CV. minimize those sort of things because it is you are talking about, not other people, so that they don't go and cause problems for you somewhere. You may never know. All right. So please, I hope you said it's well understood, and I'm happy it's well understood. All right. 8:36. Let's say we have 4 more minutes so that we end at 8:40. In 4 minutes, is there any other person with a question? If there's no question, then we will be.
Yes.
Okay, I've seen
Yes,
you.
please.
Abdallah. Abdallah, your hand is up.
Doc, please, can I ask this Desmond?
Yeah, okay, Desmond, go on.
Doc, please, pertaining to the volunteer experiences, let's say you said you are supposed to have maybe a certificate or a picture of something.
Yeah.
Let's say it's just you are doing it voluntarily for people that you will not get a set, or like you cannot take a picture. Let's say you are teaching students, and with such things is how do you include it in your CV? And also, is there a category of volunteer activities that are required on the CV, or any volunteer work can be fitted for?
Okay, so I'll have to answer your question from a personal experience. Sometimes it's very difficult citing things that you do on your own. For instance, because I do, let's say I do A zone, for instance, it's very difficult citing things on A zone because I don't know who is going to attest for you. You are the executive director and you are citing things about yourself. Who's going to attest to that for you? So mostly when you are doing things for yourself, it's very difficult to write on your CV if it is of your own initiative. And so, for instance, if you are in the house and you organize a group of students to teach them in the house, because you organize it yourself, not under any how do I call it, organization, then it becomes quite difficult to give evidence. But I don't know what stops you from taking pictures of the children you are teaching. Me, when I go and speak, when I go for his own programs and I go and speak to students, I take pictures with the students. And so I don't see why you can't take pictures. So at least you can take pictures and still write that on your CV. That within this period, so and so period, you were teaching to a number of students mathematics or English or something. And so once you have the pictures, I think it's a bit of evidence to show that you are doing that on your own initiative. Now, as to what category of volunteer experience to write on your CV, one thing I should have mentioned is that you should have what do you call, one document or one CV which has almost everything about you. It's like your database, like your base CV, right? You should have any kind of experience at all. Even if you cough, it should be inside. But when we are going to apply for applications and they ask you to submit a CV, you don't submit that thing. So you now go into that bulky thing you have and fetch the relevant ones. So Desmond, if you are going to apply for something in your field like biological science, and you have volunteered with some biological science people, then that kind of category of volunteer experience will be necessary for that application. If you are going to apply for a scholarship that merits community work, then your work with A zone becomes relevant, and so you can cite that as more relevant than those involving biological stuff. And so have a database of every bit of thing you are doing. Don't do things for nothing. Every small thing you get, please put it down so that when you have to submit a particular CV to a particular application, you fetch relevant. The word is relevant. And so you should always you should always have the word relevant. Ask yourself, this thing I'm putting on my CV, will it add to my application, or will it subtract from my application, or what will it do to my application? Once it's adding something, please add it. And so all categories are welcomed, but note which ones are relevant to the application at hand. Abdullah is laughing at me that I said you could put it on your CV. Yes, because
Yes,
some of us,
thank you.
some of us do things and we don't write. We just do them and we don't care. And when you want to write CV, you don't have anything to write. That's why I said if you cough, at least. Yeah, so guys, thank you. It's been a blessing. as a way of concluding with you, I'm saying that there is no single way to write a CV. My CV I've showed you will be different, should be different from your CV. Your CV, even your own CV for one application should be different from another application you are doing. So there's no single way of writing a particular CV. And so you should always work on your CV to suit the application you are working on. Now present it well and remember that the first impression you are making with your employer is with your CV. And so you must sell yourself well. Don't sell yourself short. Convince the person. If you are the person who knows English, use the right English words, use the right vocabulary to convince the person that indeed you are also somebody. So that even before the person meets you in person, the person is already convinced about who you are and your abilities. And so please take every opportunity to build your CV. And as part of this course, from today up to next week, if you can work on your CV and submit it to me or to the organization's email, I'll make the email available. You try and squeeze some time and then review it for you and polish it up as we have been doing. I know you've been polishing CVs over time. And if you only have time and you can squeeze some time and do that for you so that your CV can really stand out. After next week, please do not send. We will not have time to work on it. Let's please take notes. It's been a blessing with you. I wish you all the very best. Let's go out there and let's keep learning, practicing, and stand out. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much, Doc. We really appreciate your time. God bless you.
You're welcome.